from wherever you are, and welcome to Let's Play Games. I'm John McFarland, Adult Services Librarian for National Public Libraries, and I hope you'll join me in learning or rediscovering some of the more common and uncommon games out there. Now, last time we went into Monopoly and all of the nuances of how to play. Well, we're going to continue that game we already started so you can see how crazy and random it really can get. Let's get stuck in. So welcome back into the Monopoly game already in progress. Where we got to last time was the first go around of the board. Player 1 is the one who got there first. They have 3 properties here: St. Charles Place, Kentucky Avenue, and Pacific Avenue. Player 2 got States Avenue and Oriental Avenue. Player 3 is just sitting with Tennessee Avenue and B&O Railroad. And then player 4 is lucky, unlucky. They got a get out of jail free card and the Waterworks utility. So now what we're gonna do is I'm gonna keep rolling and keep playing. It'll be player 2's turn, the cat. And I'll stop when there's something else to tell you about, probably when someone goes to jail, because that's bound to happen any moment now. But I will show you what gets purchased as we have it. So, player 2 is gonna roll. So this is one of the cards that affects everybody. And it is apparently player 3's birthday, and they're gonna collect $10 from each player. So that'll be just a small change, but hey, $10 is $10. And sometimes some of these little things make the difference by the end of the game. So let's couch that in here. And we'll keep going. All right, Snake Eyes, let's go again. I mentioned that sometimes chance and community chest cards won't necessarily apply. Make general repairs on all your property. For each house, pay $25. For each hotel, pay $100. Well, there's no property to pay on, so technically you get away scot-free there. Put that at the bottom, and we keep going. All right, this will be player 3. Rolls ourselves 7, 6, yes. So, it's happened. We have finally rolled where someone has hit the go to jail position. Well, this means, yes, they go past go. They don't collect $200, and they're in prison. What does that mean? Hold on one second and I'll tell you. So, I'll fast forward even a little bit further from last time that I talked about, from World War II to the 1970s. An economics professor named Ralph Ansbach actually developed a game called Anti-Monopoly, in line with the second version of the Landlord's game that I told you about, made by Lizzie McGee. Now, I'm sure you'll be surprised to find out that it was immediately sued because it was too close to the Monopoly trademark. And it actually ensued a 5-year legal battle and made it almost all the way to the Supreme Court. But they actually came up with a rule that monopoly was too generic of a word and therefore the word monopoly could not be enforced. They later created a law and anti-monopoly was technically allowed to exist. But it also helped shine a light onto the history of Lizzie McGee and the development of the game, because a lot of the information I told you about last time wasn't really known until the 1980s. But more on some other legal changes in a moment. Welcome back. I went ahead and did one or two things. I went ahead and rolled, and let me just show you that now there are two people who are just visiting. Conveniently, player 2 who's in jail. And now player 1 has landed on their roll on Virginia Avenue. So here is one of the beautiful things. While you're in jail, you can still collect rent. So even though they're in jail, they still get the $12 from player 1. Go ahead and get that set up. And player 1 rolled doubles, so we'll show you what happens in a moment. That is going to be Illinois, which they also own. So they're sitting in jail and they've already gotten $32 out of the prospect, which is not bad, and also will help for later. So now it's player 2's turn. We've got 3 options. 1, if you have a get out of jail card, which player 4 now has 2 of them, you can immediately use that and get out as you like. You can pay a $50 fee in order to get out, which some people in house rules will put it in the center, but usually it just goes to the bank. Or you can attempt to roll doubles up to 3 times. So here's probably one of the bigger choices as a player you have to make. There's still, let's see here, we've got Electric Company 2 spaces away, Reading Railroads on the other side. We've got Indiana, which is 13 spaces away. We've got Marvin Gardens, which is 19 spaces away. Pennsylvania is 24, North Carolina is 23, and we've got Park Place all the way over here. So most of the remaining properties are over on this side of the board. So you potentially lose out on getting more properties, or you save yourself $50. So for this early game, I would take a look at what money you have. I've got a decent amount left. I'm going to go ahead and pay to get out, just because I want to make sure that I have the opportunity to get as many properties as possible. Because over here, player 1 has 4 properties. There's 6 properties over here by player 2, so they're doing pretty well. So this will move them to the just visiting slot, and they will get to roll. Now they go to St. James Place, which is owned over here. So that's another 14 they lose out on, but they still get the chance to collect money and get around the board. Now what they'll do is this. Let me go ahead and get this situated. So now it'll be player 3's turn. And we're going to go ahead and I'll speed up a little bit more until something interesting happens, and I'll stop there. So let's keep going. Player 4 has landed on Atlantic right here. And because of this, they are going to owe 22. Now they have a 50, and here's where some of the clerical part of the game begins. We're all out of ones, so they cannot get adequate change back. So what they're going to do as the banker is they're going to go around and say, hey, if you've got an excess of ones, can you bring that back to me? So I know that over here, we've got a fair amount, so we can minimum exchange for some of those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's 10 back, and we'll just divvy out a 10 here. So that'll fix the issue a little bit. So now you're trying to keep as little denominations as possible. So we're going to give these 2 here, these 3 back, because they're going to get 28 back. Yes, so 20 here, and 25 going here. So if you are playing the role of banker, it's just a good idea to keep track of what's running low and just go ahead and give the game a quick pause, and you should be able to keep things going fairly efficiently. So I'll keep going. All right, it took a while, but we are here. So now I'm gonna move these out of the way for a second and kind of reset the game on the board here. I'll move these back once we're done. So we are now where all the properties have been purchased. So player 1 here has St. Charles, Kentucky, Baltic, Pacific, Atlantic, Electric Company, and Reading Railroad. Player 2, decent amount of change, has definitely the most property and is kind of in the lead, as it were, because they've got 2 of the greens, they've got 2 of the purples, they've got a red, so they've got a fair amount of property to work with here. Player 3 is a little light on the property, but has Boardwalk, which is always good, one of the railroads. And player 4's got kind of a weird hodgepodge. So almost everybody has little things that the other person would need in order to make Monopoly. And this is where usually bargaining takes place. It has to be done on each person's turn. They get to make trade agreements. So player 2 was the last one to make an agreement. Now player 3, we'll start with them. They're sitting right there. They want this New York Avenue for them to have Monopoly. But they don't really have anything that player 2 would want. So now we're forced with you can try and make a deal, but that involves some finagling. So they're going to hold on, and then what I'm going to do is try and keep things a little more close and a little more visible for you, because when we start getting monopolies, things will become a lot more apparent here in a moment. So forgive the slight mess here, but I think it's good to see how sometimes a little disheveled this game can get, but that's half the fun. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Immediately lose out on getting 200 for having to pay income tax. Reaching for it partially because I'm so familiar with things going on. So now we've got some trading that we could do here. So they need Oriental Avenue. And here we've got 2 railroads. They have no railroads here. They are probably going to be willing to offer a piece that would be helpful in some form or fashion. So you can, by the way, trade a get out of jail free card. So let's say in order to get the light blue, they are going to offer up Indiana, Waterworks, and one of their 2 get out of jail free cards. In return, they'll do Oriental and let's say Ventnor. And then there can be a negotiation that takes place. So for example, they'll say throw an extra $100 in the pot or something. But for the sake of this game, let's say that they accept that deal. So you just immediately allow things to change hands. This person is 2 of the 3, and they now have 1 monopoly. So remember how I said way back in episode 1 that renting with a color set you now have the option to buy houses. So there's a general rule that houses must be bought evenly. So what they're going to do is they're going to really make it difficult on themselves. They are going to put in 150, and they are going to get one house on each of their properties. And remember, this all has to be done before rolling. So now, instead of rent being 12, it's going to be 30, 30, and 40, respectively, for these properties, anytime anyone lands on them. Now, they're going to roll like normal. 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So now they're going to actually, ironically enough, have to pay that waterworks that they wouldn't have had to before. So this puts them in a little bit of a cash crunch, but they're hoping that over time they can make some more deals and that they can make that money back. Because usually by this point in the game, once you start to build up, all it takes are a couple of hits and all of a sudden you are rolling. So player 1 here now is kind of considering their options. This piece kind of has some value over here. They can maybe go for the railroads. Park Place is going to be helpful to them. But they don't necessarily want to give this player 2 monopolies. They're going to wait for a good deal to come about. So they're going to continue on their roll and do 5. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They don't own Pennsylvania. It's owned over here. That's 28. So we'll cash in real quick. 2, 3, 4, 5. So that'll be here, here, and another 20. And notice we're out again of ones. So I think over here is our 1 culprit once again. So at least 5, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There we go. So, and this is where now trades happen and people start building houses and properties and allow the game to develop. So what we're going to do is we're going to keep on going and we are going to see what happens next. So, if you're around my age, you've probably played some variation on Monopoly. Something like Vol-opoly, something like Tennessee-opoly, or Nashville-opoly, or America-opoly, or Game of Thrones Monopoly. Why are there so many different variations out there of the same game? Well, in the 1990s, Parker Brothers sold the rights to Hasbro. And Hasbro was able to give out licenses on a case-by-case basis, and gave it out a lot. So I'm sure you probably could go into a game store now and see a good 10 or 12 different versions of Opoly and be able to play the same rule set. And you also saw slight changes to the way that the game can be played, but the general rule is we'll give you out a license, but you have to keep the base gameplay set up, which I thought was pretty cool. So I went ahead and fast forwarded a little bit, and we've got kind of a little Cold War going on between player 1 and player 2. There had to be some trades made and some negotiations made, and a lot of houses were built very quickly. So notice that all of the houses are actually on the board. We don't have any to spare. What this means is that only Mediterranean Avenue and Baltic Avenue are eligible to have hotels placed upon them. Player 1 doesn't have any interest in doing that because A, going up to hotels would only go from 160 to 250 and 320 to 450 respectively. And unless they have the money to buy both hotels and the 4 houses for their other properties, it opens up where player 2 can have more to go on. But we got to deal first with player number 4. They were unlucky enough to land on Kentucky Avenue. So that is a whopping 700 that they need to calculate. So we've now got to mortgage. So when you run out of money, because they only have $5 remaining, there is a mortgage value on the back, and you will get the funds for everything that was of note. So I went ahead and did the math, and it guarantees you a total of $815 with everything mortgaged, which leaves them with just enough. So what they're going to do is they're going to have to place everything upside down. And to unpay the mortgage, you're going to have to pay basically 10% of what the mortgage value was. And yes, you still have to pay up. So 700 will go over here to player 2. And then they will get back, I said 115, I believe. So we'll do 10. So they will have $115 remaining. If they don't unmortgage this and get out of their situation, they're done. So we'll keep on playing, and I will come back once something else happens. Well, here we are. They needed to avoid rolling a 10 or an 11, and they rolled, well, an 11. So that means they are going to owe, let's see, this is North Carolina with 3. So they owe 900. So that immediately takes them out. Now, let me just read you exactly what it says. If you still owe the bank, you return the properties to the bank, and all of the properties are immediately put up for auction. So now a big part of the remainder of this game, and probably what both player 1 and player 2 were hoping about, were to go for the properties. And they each occur individually. We're going to return this to the bottom of the community chest. And now what we're going to see happen is each of these properties will be auctioned off, and the bidder is the bidder, and the person gets it, and the person gets it. So for example, player 1's probably going to go a little harder for these. Player 3, if they're going to go for anything, is this Park Place and the 2 railroads. And then these 3 are kind of up for debate. But now we see that player 4 is sadly out of the game, and after the bidding you will continue on in this method until probably player 3 will be next to be eliminated, and then it'll be a race with player 1, player 2 to knock the other out. But I know that's a more long-winded way of doing this, but this is step by step through the way to get through an entire game of Monopoly. And it'll occur a little faster when it's everybody rolling for themselves and everybody controlling their own stack of cash and having a realtor and having a banker. So when you have a number of players, just take it step by step, enjoy, because a lot of this experience is just sitting here enjoying your time with your friends and family. One last thing, I've got to tell you, this copy of Monopoly isn't mine. Where I got it? National Public Library is actually showing out now board game kits. So it comes in this large container, and let me get this open. It's a new set. It's actually the full contents and copy of the game, and it's actually marked with everything that should come with the kit and labeled so you can keep track of the number. It checks out for a couple of weeks, but we've got more than just Monopoly. We've got dozens of games that you can check out and play with your family. So go onto our website, library.nashville.org, and search for board game kits, and you'll be able to find one copy of this and check it out yourself. That's all the time we have for today. Thanks for tuning in. Now, I hope you'll get more practice at this game, because every game is going to be different, every experience is going to be different, and you get better by playing. Make sure you check out some of the other great NPL Universe content out there on our website, and I'll see you next time. Bye.